Chapter 27. The Truth. With a push, the door was fully open, and Daniel stood once again on the surface of a frozen pond surrounded by woodland, hot breath rising from his mouth. Everything was as he remembered. The crisp air, the endless stretch of blue sky. And then he saw the broken mountain of stone that lay in the centre of the pond where the fountain should have been. Daniel hurried out across the pond, his feet crunching in the frost. He picked up a piece of what had once been the fountain and tossed it from hand to hand. There was no sign at all of the silvery liquid, the imagination that Mr. Silver had described as the lifeblood of the Emporium. Part of the outer bowl remained intact, though there were sharp fragments of rock jutting out here and there, one of them smeared with a thin red liquid. Blood. A sorry sight, don't you think? Vindictus Sharp stood a few metres away on the opposite side of the fountain, his hands behind his back. Had he not been there a moment ago? "Why have you come?" he said. "Didn't I ask for time to study the book alone?" "Things have changed," said Daniel. "I think I made a mistake." A pause. He took a long breath. "I'd like the Book of Wonders back, please." Sharp raised a silver eyebrow. "You'd like it back?" "Yes. It wasn't really mine to give away. You can still study it, but I'd like to be there when you do." A thin smile crossed Sharp's lips. "If it was not yours to give away," he said, "then it is certainly not yours to take back." Daniel stared into the cold blue eyes. An alarm bell was ringing in his head, telling him he'd been right, that Sharp was dangerous. He glanced again at the fountain, at the sharp point of stone smeared with blood. "Whose blood is that?" Sharp hesitated. Then he brought his hands from behind his back. They were clutching the Book of Wonders, and they were covered in cuts and scrapes. Daniel took half a step back. He wanted to run, but he couldn't. This was a mess. His mistake. Sharp flashed a smile like a knife. "You've caught me red-handed, as it were. To tell the truth, I am growing tired of the act. I have no intention of returning the book to you, Daniel. In fact, the only reason I allowed you to hold on to it for so long was that I thought you might leave me to Lucian." Daniel stared at the Book of Wonders in Sharp's big hands. "I don't get it. Wrecking the fountain? You're speeding things up, killing the Emporium. Why?" "Back when we were walking together," said Sharp, "you asked me what Lucian was running from. What could possibly frighten him enough that he spent his whole life looking over his shoulder, always ready to flee to the next town, the next city, the next window in time?" Sharp brushed a hand over his neat silver hair, ran his fingers over his moustache. "The answer, boy, is that Lucian Silver was running, is still running, from me."